Hi there, welcome. Kat Matlock here at FreeBody, and I'm so excited for you to be on this journey of healing from ilio-tibial band pain, ilio-tibial band syndrome, pain along the outer thigh. This course is going to take you where you haven't been able to go before because there's just some key new insights and awareness and understanding, and then simple practices to support that new understanding that you've been missing. You've been missing some key pieces, and it's not your fault. Nobody told you. And that's the reason I made this course, because there's so much misunderstanding about ilio-tibial band pain and how to really get rid of it. So this course is a 7-day long course. So here's how it works. You've received access to all the videos. You've received access to the PDF. Now let me tell you about that PDF, that little mini ebook that I put together so you can see the muscles, have a picture of the anatomy in your head, and see where the muscles refer and other places that tension or trigger points in those muscles might also refer. So look at that little ebook that you've received. Very important and helpful information to support you through this healing journey. In each day, you're going to receive, the first part is a little talk, anatomy, especially the first day, helping you to understand simply ilio-tibial band pain from my perspective, from the perspective of a trigger point therapist and balancing tensional systems. So watch the anatomy talk. It's key. It's so helpful because then it helps you understand why you're doing the things that you're doing in this course. Every day is only about 15 to 35 minutes, so super short, just enough time to give you the information and the practices that you need. Each day you have that little talk, and then you also have a movement break. And so movement breaks are designed, these specific movement breaks that I created and recorded for you are designed to give you a pause in your day that lasts about 1 to 2 minutes. That's it. And you just take it throughout the day. If you can get it to start with a few times a day and then get up to maybe several times, maybe every 30 to 45 minutes is ideal, then you're restoring balance to the tensional systems that got you in this predicament in the first place. So we want to release the things that are stuck, strengthen the things that have been pulled too long, and bring balance back to those tensional systems. Every single day you get a movement break. And so you can mix it up. You could take one movement break one day, throughout the day, and then as you add new breaks, you could start one movement break in the morning, the next one in the late morning, a different one in the afternoon. So feel free to play around with them, mix them up, and pick the ones that seem to be the most useful for you. There are recorded foam rolling practices, the self trigger point release practices. Oh, it's so good, so key to shifting the tensional balance. So we have to release the tension, release the places that are stuck. And the way this work is different than regular foam rolling is that I'm going to bring you right to the very precise and specific places where the muscles hold the tension. So follow along with those, get the balls, move around, do some stuff in the chair, do some stuff on the floor, do some stuff in the wall. What you'll find is that when you start in the right place, then your healing is exponential, right? You start in the right place, then your healing is exponential and can be really, really fast. The final goal of this course is to give you the tools and information that you need to continue on your journey. You might not be completely pain-free after 7 days. Some of you will. That's the cool part. Many, as a matter of fact, of you will be pain-free within this week. And that now you'll have the movements, the understanding, and the really simple skills that you need to keep yourself out of pain or to get fully out of pain if you have had pain reduction, if you feel like you're getting stronger and better, depending on how deeply embedded this tensional imbalance is in your body. That will determine how long it really takes for you to feel better. And I will say that I have worked with folks who have had tensional imbalance, trigger points in their bodies for many decades. And I'm talking 50, 60, 70 years. And in not very long, just because they knew right where to go, they were able to get out of pain. Sometimes in only a week or two, even after having this deeply embedded pattern for 30, 40, 50 years. It's possible. It's possible to get 100% better. Not everyone will. However, it is really possible, and that's my hope for you, that you have these skills and you have these tools to be able to take your life back and get on with your life. Do the things that you love to do. Ride your bike, ride your horse, run, whatever you want to do. So I'm so glad you're here. I hope that you take full advantage of each day. Look at the teachings, watch the videos, do the movement breaks, do the rolling. And I wish you great success in your journey of healing from iliotibial band pain. In this anatomy talk, I'm going to break down the iliotibial band into 4 key components. We're going to talk about what is the iliotibial band. We're going to talk about where it lives, talk about what it does, and then why it hurts. Why does it get into pain in the first place? So a super quick introduction to iliotibial band, what it is. The iliotibial band is a very thick band or retinaculum of connective tissue that goes from the top rim of the pelvis on the very sides of your body, the ilium, across the top of the femur and down along the outer thigh below the knee to a little nub on the tibia, which is the bigger bone in your shin. So we have the iliotibial band, this thick, dense, fibrous connective tissue band that spans across the hip and the knee joints. What that does is it brings stability to the knee and hip joints together in big movements, in running, in riding bikes, horses, in big movement. It's a stabilizing structure. So here's the thing, the iliotibial band is mostly collagen, which is the densest tissue that you have in your body. So that connective tissue is the strongest connective tissue in your body. Can you stretch it? No. You cannot stretch the iliotibial band. Just stop even trying to stretch the iliotibial band. So one of the things that scientists have done is hung a 500-pound weight on an iliotibial band, and it didn't move even the slightest. No stretching happened on the iliotibial band because it's not designed to stretch. So if you're thinking, well, I have a tight iliotibial band, give yourself a high five. Great job. It should be tight. It's a stabilizing structure. You wouldn't want it to be loose, or you would lose a lot of stability between the knee and the hip. So that's where it is, where it lives, what it does, what it's made of. Dense fibrous connective tissue, spans hip and knee joint, and it's a stabilizing structure. That's its job. So now the most important thing for you is, why does it hurt? Well, there are a few different causes. One is an iliotibial band pain syndrome down at the knee. That little condyle of the tibia can aggravate and rub on the tendon. So it becomes kind of like a tendonitis down at the bottom of the knee. We're going to talk about that more later. We're going to fix that. What is very common is radiating pain down the sides, the outer thighs, along the iliotibial band itself. Now there are 3 muscles that cause that radiating pain down the sides of the thigh. One of them is a quad muscle that lives just underneath that iliotibial band. There's a quad muscle called vastus lateralis. And when you get tension in the vastus lateralis or in the quads, then you may have iliotibial band pain. Another muscle is a little hip flexor that also lives on the side and on the side of the hip, and it attaches into the iliotibial band from the front, and that muscle is called TFL, tensor fascia lata. It's a hip flexor, and it tenses the fascia lata. The fascia lata is a wrapper around your whole thigh. And that fascia lata, when the TFL contracts and it constricts that fascia lata a little bit, actually gives a stronger wall for your muscles to push against. It actually strengthens and makes all of the quads and hamstrings more effective in their job. The last muscle that can cause radiating pain, numbness, tingling, all kinds of weird sensations actually down the outer thigh along the track of the iliotibial band is the gluteus minimus. And gluteus minimus is a little muscle that lives underneath or deep to the iliotibial band, and then deep to another muscle, gluteus medius, that lays on top of it. And then the iliotibial band lays right on top of that. And then that can cause radiating numbness, tingling, going down the outer thigh, even into the shin sometimes also accompanied by a deep ache in your buttocks. Those three muscles, vastus lateralis, tensor fascia lata, and gluteus minimus, directly create tension, pain, aching, radiating sensation down the iliotibial band. And those symptoms arise from tension in those muscles. Well, tension and, in my world, trigger points are the same thing. Trigger points are focal points of tension in muscles. And so here's the thing. If you're not doing self-trigger point release, which you're going to learn now in this course, and this is why maybe some of the work you've done before in that desperate attempt to figure out what is going on in that iliotibial band and how to fix it, it may be just that you weren't working in the right areas because you didn't know, or maybe you weren't working on all the muscles that were involved, and maybe you weren't doing self-trigger point release. So let's break that down a little bit. Self-trigger point release is getting a ball. It's like myofascial, self-myofascial release, foam rolling on steroids. You're going to go right to the specific places in those three muscles that can be causing iliotibial band pain. And so those short practices where you go right into the source, what may be the source of your iliotibial band pain, those are the quick fixes that are offered in this course. And then the long-term healing brings in then the other muscle groups that might be involved in your pain. And those might be the opposite muscle groups. So if the pain that you're experiencing along your iliotibial band is coming from that quadricep, from that vastus lateralis muscle, you would want to know how to treat all the quads. So you want to treat everything in that group, and you want to also treat the opposite muscle group, the hamstring muscles that might be pulling. And if you're working in TFL and glute min, you're going to want to work on the opposite muscle groups, which is hamstrings for TFL, and also the inner thighs for gluteus minimus, because they're in this tensional dynamic that has gone dysfunctional, right? So it's not working. And so it might be that the inner thighs are causing a pull on those outer glutes. So we're going to explore those tensional relationships in more detail at a later date in the class. So my hope for this talk here is that you understand what the iliotibial band itself is, why you can't stretch it, what it does, what its job is, and then to understand that it's getting dysfunctional might actually be not about the iliotibial band at all. It might actually just be the pain referral patterns that are referring along the iliotibial band, and that's why the things that you've done until now have not been successful. So I'm so excited for you to be here in this class, because now you're finally going to have the understanding and the simple tools that you need to finally get rid of this pain once and for all. So you can do it and just get on it in just this 1 week, and then you have the skills and the tools to take with you and to keep going. This movement break is called fire hydrant, and it's again to help build strength in the outer hip. You can add in, because you're going to be on all fours, we'll add in a little cat-cow, just hydrating the whole spine, and then focusing the movement on strengthening those outer hips and giving our hips and bodies a break from sitting. So you're going to get down on all fours, and knees about hip distance apart and hands about shoulder distance apart or more. And just take a few cat-cows. So from the side, that looks like this. You tilt, stick your butt up, look forward. Big breath in, exhale. Tug and round. Inhale, belly gets soft. Exhale. One more time, cat-cow. And then we're gonna move into side leg lift. So you're gonna lift that left one knee out to the side. We're just gonna do that 6 times. 3, 4, 5, 6. You can hold, you maybe straighten that leg a little bit and back down. Now we're gonna switch to the other side. I'm gonna switch angles so that you can see that. And now the other leg is gonna go out to the side. Lift, lift. 4 more. 3, 5, 6, hold. Do a little straighten if you can. Lift and drop it down. Wag your tail a little bit side to side. You could go up into downward facing dog to get a little stretch in the backs of the legs and to bring yourself up to standing. Just that little short movement break and get on with your day. This quick fix is for releasing TFL and glute min on the floor. And start with the soft ball. Always start with that soft blue ball, the logo ball, so that you are not driving in to the most tender places in your body too quickly. So TFL, glute min, they're all on the side of the pelvis and to the front of the pelvis. So we're going to take that soft ball, come down on the floor so you're sitting a little bit off to the side and slide it in. Notice I didn't lift up and put it here. I don't want it under the side of my thigh. I want it on the side of the pelvis, right? And then from there, you can lay down on the ball. Now, we started with the soft ball so that we could just explore and sink in. If I take this top knee and I drop it down onto the bottom knee, now I've got that much more pressure. If I need less pressure, I'm going to take it off with that top knee, taking that off. So starting in this position with the knee lifted so that there's the least amount of pressure. Then you can kind of play and explore. When you're ready, put that top knee down. Now there's more pressure. You can kind of sink your body into the ball. For many of you in the beginning, that's going to be plenty. That's going to be so much pressure, you'll be plenty. So where you are, straight up and down with the hips stacked, you're in gluteus minimus. When you want to go to TFL, we're going to take that top leg forward. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But just kind of letting the ball sink in, just getting used to this idea. If after a few moments and you're letting the ball sink in, it's not enough pressure, then you can switch to the larger myofoam ball, or I'm going to switch to the smaller ball. So I'm going to put the smaller ball right there. Now, make sure you start with that knee lifted, because boy, is that going to be a lot more excitement, a lot more sensation than that soft ball. So you might just stay with that knee lifted. When you're ready, you can stack them, right? So now we're in the side of the hip, right in gluteus minimus. And you can kind of sink, if you lift these ribs up and away, see how that lifts my pelvis off the ball? That's a way that you can easily shift pressure, like, oh, take those top ribs up and away. When you want more pressure, now you can take those bottom ribs down toward the floor, and that's going to help you sink into the ball. Right there, gluteus minimus. So now ways to work with that, drawing your body up, like putting that elbow down on the floor, and then like using that elbow to pull your body up. That's going to drive that ball right into the top of the femur, trapping that littlest segment of gluteus minimus right into the top of the femur. So just take a couple breaths here. Right. And then we want to take some pressure out, lift those top ribs, maybe lift that knee, slide the body down so the ball just goes a little further up along the side of the pelvis, keeping the knees basically, the hips, basically stacked. Now I'm just higher up along that side of the hip and I sink down into it. And then you could take that top hip forward a little and back a little, and you can play with just like that movement right there, forward a little and back a little, finding very exquisite tender spot, sink in gluteus minimus. Now we're going to explore a little bit to the back part of gluteus minimus. So lift the ribs, lift that top knee, start rolling a little bit toward your back, and then scoot your pelvis forward. I'm going to show that again. We start stacked, lift that top knee up, lean back, scoot the pelvis forward. Now you're at the back of gluteus minimus. Oh, and it's exciting. There's a lot of tension going on in there. Yes, yes, indeed there is. So taking a couple of breaths there. And again, you want to check jaw. Relax your eyes. Notice, do you want to wiggle a little bit? That's totally fine. Breathing, always breathing in the belly. Ah, so good, right? Okay, now we're going to shift. We're going to come back to the center. And then we're going to go into TFL. So for TFL, we take that front leg and we slide it back. And then we take the top knee and the foot and cross it over. And now we're going to begin, because TFL is toward the front of the pelvis, so we have to start dropping that top hip forward. Ah, and there it is. Notice I didn't go all the way forward. If I go all the way forward, I'm not going to get it. I have to go about halfway. So from hips being stacked to top hip dropping, if you keep this bottom knee bent a little bit, it keeps that tissue a little softer and allows the ball to sink in. As soon as you straighten that leg, you might actually tense that tissue so much that it pops the ball out. So bottom knee stays bent, top leg and knee come forward. Drop that knee toward the floor. I can just touch the floor, and then I'm really in a very tender spot at the front of my pelvis, tensor fascia lata. Great, and then we're going to move off by rolling that top hip back. And then we're going to do the other side. So now for the second side, try a different ball. Play with the different balls until you find, and sometimes what you'll find is that if you've just ridden your bike or gone on a long hike or ridden your horse, done your work, your joy, your fun stuff that causes an aggravation of your symptoms, what you'll find is that sometimes you'll just need to go right back to that softer ball, like, oh, okay, everything's excited today. So give yourself permission that once you use the small, hard ball, that sometimes you don't use that ball, right? Because it's not like you always just continue. It's that the tension's going to come and go. The tension's going to come and go. All right, so this side, I'm going to lay down on my side. I'm going to slide that large myofoam ball underneath the side of the hip. And for me, that lifts my pelvis all the way up off of the floor even. So good. And this gets a little bit of a bigger area. This actually makes for a faster, quick fix if you're just using this big ball. Going right through the top of the ilio-tibial band to get to that gluteus minimus underneath. So we're going to put that elbow down, slide the body up until we're trapping gluteus minimus against the greater trochanter. Ah, so exciting. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to slide up. There's not as much space to move with the bigger ball, you'll notice, right? So if you want to go ahead and slide the smaller ball in, or if this ball is too firm and you need the softer ball, notice I'm not putting this knee down because I don't need quite that much pressure, right? How could I take pressure out? I could lift those top ribs. I could take that top knee off, okay? And then we're going to move to the back of gluteus minimus. Now we've covered that front side, that very directly under the ilio-tibial band. So to do that, we move back, we roll back toward our back, and then scoot the hip forward a little bit, right? Slide that hip forward. Now the ball's gone to behind the ilio-tibial band area on the side of the hip to get in that back part of gluteus minimus. Oh, it's so good. And you could do a little up and down. So good. You're going to find a lot of tenderness here. It's okay. That's why we're here, right? We're going to get rid of some of that tenderness and get you out of pain. One more breath here. Now to go into TFL. You scoot back, stack the hips, slide the bottom leg back a little, take the top leg over, and then roll toward the front. Now for me, this big ball is a little bit too big for me to get into my TFL. So I'm going to move off, get that smaller myofoam, slide it in there, drop my ribs so I get a little bit deeper pressure. Top knee crosses over, roll toward the front of the body, but not all the way, right? Toward the front of the body. There it is. And a couple breaths here. You're right at the crease of the side of the hip. So good. All right. Now we need to do a little quick stretch. So we're going to do a little bit of what I call the flip-flop, where you stretch your legs out and flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. Side to side. Great. Then we're going to do a TFL stretch. So we're going to come to here. This TFL on the right side is getting stretched because it's a hip flexor, so I'm in big hip extension. And then to get to the other side, we're just going to flip around. Go into that other side, stretching that TFL. And then to stretch the glutes, we're just going to lay right on the back, knees bent, feet on the floor, and do a little windshield wipers side to side. And dropping that down, dropping the knees side to side. Stretching glutes on this side, then stretching glutes on that side. Great, and that's it. So that's our quick fix for TFL and gluteus minimus.